Greetings, this is Fred in Alaska. Another beautiful Alaskan day. It's up into the 50s now, which is nice. Next week it should be into the 40s overnight, so be doing some more things outside. Today I want to share with you uh, an occurrence that happened to a guy named Caleb. Um, he was up in Aleknagik, the lake. This was back in 1988. And he was taken to Rainbow Valley, which is in the area, just a little bit north of Aleknagik. And as they were going back in there, the guy that took him was a very good friend of his that he had fished on the guy's fishing boat with him. Uh, Sorry, something was bugging my eye. So his buddy that he had partnered with was, regaling him with stories of the hairy man or whatever, and he thought nothing of it. Dismissed it, like, okay, yeah, my native captain, he wants to just tease me about this stuff, get the dumb white guy to buy into some bullshit. He agrees to go, and he went with the total mindset of, I'm being pranked. Someone's gonna be hiding in a bush, try to scare me, and that was his mindset. So they went, and they were camped out. They're having a good time, and so the guy says, "Well, why don't you let me camp here overnight since you're so confident I'll deal with a hairy man?" His buddy was like, "No, dude. I know you doubt it and you mock it, but there's no way I'm gonna leave you here overnight, knowing what I know. I don't care what you believe, which I understand. I wouldn't allow someone's ignorance to something to be their downfall, especially if I could change it and do something. Well, so Caleb agrees, says, "Okay, well, we'll stay here together or whatever, but I'm not feeling what you're feeling. There's nothing going on here." And he was like, "Not at the moment, but let's just hang out. Let's see what's going on." So they're there approximately 2 nights. And as time goes on, Caleb's just giving him more and more shit. Like, dude, you're full of it. You may have seen something. Maybe it was a crippled bear or something, and you're just tripping. And the guy he was fishing with was like, "No, no, not at all." So the morning of the third day, Caleb wakes up early. He decides he's going to brew up some coffee, and he had been looking at this mountain off in the distance. It was one of the Wood River Mountains. And he said, "I'm going to go and hike that today by myself." So he's up and prepping, right? He gets out of his tent. He's going over, he's pouring water into the little percolator pot to make some cowboy coffee over the fire. And as he's stoking the fire, he realizes there's something moving around behind him. And he doesn't know exactly what that is. And so he's slowly kind of turning because he was thinking bear. And as he turned around, this thing was down on all fours and looking him right in the eyes about 25 feet behind him. And he couldn't put what he was seeing into the reality of where he was standing. Like, he couldn't put the two together. So he starts laughing. And as he's laughing, because he can't believe what he's seeing, so he laughs out of nervousness, and this thing mocked his laugh back to him, and that mocking laugh was a lot louder and deeper, and it woke up his partner. Well, his partner, the local, he did not hesitate. He came out of the tent with his firearm and commenced to shooting in the air to scare it off. Scared the shit out of Caleb because he was facing this thing laughing, and then all of a sudden gunshots are going off over his head, not directly, but behind him. And so he falls back. This thing stands up and runs about 50, 75 yards, hits this initial little tree line, and then stops, and then takes one and uproots it, drops it into place, and runs off. And they're like, for one, Caleb was trying to ask his friend, "This is really happening, and wake me up, wake me up." And the guy's like, "It's really happening. There's nothing to wake you up from." But his partner was saying, "Why did it tear that tree and leave it there?" And it really confused him because it looked like he was going to grab... Jeez. Give me 1 second here, sorry. Sorry about that. So he was confused about the tree thing, just leaving it on the ground. It really confused him, but Caleb was freaked out and no longer wanted to be camping there. Well, his buddy that was the captain of the fishing boat and a local, I know the guy. I'm not going to say his name. I haven't talked to him about this particular situation. Well, he walks back to that tree line, and he's armed, but the only reason he was confident walking over there is they heard it and then saw it up above the tree line on the mountain there, and then they saw it go up over it. So he was confident it was far enough away. He goes over and checks out the tree that was pulled up and flopped down. What it had was a bunch of pike that it had caught with his hand or something laid there, and instead of losing its stash, it ripped that tree out and dropped it on top of it to cover its pike. I found that interesting because that's the first I've heard of those types of connections. It consciously hit its pike catch from those fellas. So he leaves the pike alone and comes back over. Now, when he was coming back over, unbeknownst to him, because his buddy was out of yelling range and wasn't paying attention, he was packing up because he was ready to go. Caleb was. Caleb said when he heard him coming in the distance, he whistled for him. He thought what it was when he turned around is up above the tree line that he saw what was in front of him just a little while ago, and it was making the whistle sound. And so his partner that was coming back that just saw the pike under the branch, he was hearing it but ignoring it. He didn't want to make any contact with it. He wanted to just keep going, and he could tell it was far enough away where he wasn't in any real danger, right? So when he makes it back over to where Caleb is, Caleb had watched this thing come down into the trees, like he saw the trees moving and shit coming on down to where the pike were left, watched it fling the tree out of the way, grabbed the pike, smashed them all up into one hand, and then went right back same direction, all in the amount of time it took for his partner to walk maybe 75 yards the rest of the distance when he saw it initially start. The thing was moving fast, got it shit, and then got the hell out of there. That to me is really compelling because that wasn't any sign of aggression to me. That's more curiosity, and that's good to hear because typically I've been hearing nothing but so that was kind of neat to hear that one. Nothing else happened. They got the hell out of Dodge, but Caleb believes, and actually he was asking me if he could go along on the documentary. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that, but he really wants to go back and revisit that area himself without that stress. And I was like, you realize that stress is going to be there. I said, have you gone into the woods since without any stress? He was like, no. And I was like, well, it's not going to change in that spot. I could promise you that. It may bring you a little bit of peace in the long run, but it's not going to change nothing, There's a couple things coming up real soon. That long one, I'm taking notes on that. I got so much side shit going on. I was just noticing I look exhausted as shit. But I'm getting those things taken care of. Oh, a little something about that moose, that mama moose. She must be going 8 or 9 maybe, something like that. She was actually born somewhere right over here behind me. They've been, the moose, when they drop, they stay within a 10-mile radius of where they were born. And so when that particular female was born, she was born right here. So as she got older and her mom was hit by a car or whatever and no longer came around, she continued to come around. And I used to have gardens in my backyard, not anymore. It's not worth it even with the fencing up and all. They'll smash it down, they'll eat your cabbage, they'll eat your sweet peas, forget it. Anyway, get a greenhouse, they can't open doors. So she's been coming back with her offspring for years now. And the past few winters have been a little harsh on them. So like I was saying, I would cut down some of these like cottonwoods so the smaller tender branches or whatever in the winter just to sustain them. And then, come next fall, I just hack it up for firewood and split it and let it do its thing. But there's a lot of critters that I got a resident red fox. As a matter of fact, I saw it when I was coming up the hill. Its den is back down the hill behind us here. I'm sure I'll get his little ass on video. He's always watching me in one way or another when I'm out here. I'll just turn around, there'll be a little fox face looking at me, 30 feet away. It doesn't have rabies, it's just a pretty fox. I think I have some pictures of it from earlier last fall. He's been hanging around for about 4 years. Saw him get bigger. In 2005, I was down on Kodiak Island. I was doing some work for, we were basically building sheds over the tops of reefer vans, Connex vans, where they store their roe and their fish and bait fish, whatever they had it for. And so on a break, I walked down to the dock because we were on the dock. I walked to the dock's edge so I could look down into the water to watch them offload some salmon at Ocean Beauty Seafoods. And so as I'm walking along past Ocean Beauty guys, because I see them every day and we talk shit at the bar at night and that kind of shit, I'm like, hey, what's up? And one of them points out and says, hey, there's orcas way out in the channel. So I looked and I saw some movement, but it was way off in the distance. I was like, okay, maybe they'll come closer. So I go to the edge of the dock and there's a Russian fisherman down there and he's chucking chum salmon into the water. Now the whole time that ugly coffee cup, I had that in my hand, but it was before I had the sound deadener on it. Kodiak's a lot warmer than where I've been working lately. So I'm sitting there holding the coffee and smoking a cigarette and watching this Russian feed the sea lion. Now the sea lion, massive 700-pounder at least, full-bodied male, had the mane. He was a big boy. He looked huge at the stern of a 52-foot fishing boat. Okay, it was a no shit sea lion. And as I'm watching that, I notice at a distance coming into the channel, closer to shore, is those orca fins, right? And I only saw 3, and there was 3 smaller ones. All 3 they looked small. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're watching them, and I noticed a sea lion started watching them, and the guy was still throwing fish, and the sea lion's ignoring him. And so he was, saying something in Russian and trying to talk to us, and I don't know what he was trying to say. I don't speak Russian, So we're watching this unfold. This sea lion's watching as well, because hey, predator prey. They're keeping an eye on shit. Well, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed we're at the edge of the dock, and the docks are on pilings. There are all these pilings underneath there. Well, typically the sea lions will retreat under there and hide from the orcas because they can't get in there, right? These things are so smart. They distract this sea lion while the big male is swimming fast as shit right next to the dock. It was beneath us, and as we watched it go by, just creating this big V in the top of the water, and then it banks hard and cut off the sea lion's retreat under the pilings. When it turned, the sea lion caught wind of something and was looking around above for a fin. This thing had already went under, and it came and grabbed it, smacked it against the water so hard. It was kabow. And you could just feel it. It was like, ugh. You could hear that thing's death. Like, it was, ugh. But it was awesome to watch. This huge male orca whale just at least 12, 13, 14 feet out of the water, and then whap, just last second whipped it. Drug it under. You seen a stream of bubbles going deep underwater, and then all of a sudden it came back up. It came back up and then flung it. The other ones had circled in, caught it, were playing with it, tug of warring it, flinging it around. And man, that was, outside of a bear fight nearby, that was that was awesome to watch. Nat Geo had nothing on that shit, I tell you that much. Because seeing something on TV versus like unfold in front of you, man, there's no words for that. That orca was huge. I'm talking big. And it was definitely, it had to have been at least a 5-foot dorsal fin on that thing. at least. And I was looking down, so my perspective was off, but it was massive. And that sea lion just, it was a massive sea lion. It had no chance. Game over. Whap. I mean, done. Ugh. Ugh. God, that was awesome to see. Awesome to see. Uh, More coming. Appreciate you guys' patience. There's background stuff going, and it's got me distracted. That type of thing. It's coming together though. It's just I'm not used to this shit. Technology, all this stuff, getting shit set up, Kickstarter, all this stuff is just not in my wheelhouse. So bear with me. I have a stack of stuff to share with you guys, and plus I'm going out towards the North Fork of the Golcana real soon, just to kill some time. I can't just sit idle, especially when I want to do something. It's just, that ain't me. But anyway, thanks for joining me today, and y'all be safe out there, and I'll talk to y'all again soon.